Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we cut through the noise and hand you the strategy, not just the busy work. Today, we are strapping ourselves into, well, probably the fastest moving sector in all of tech. The high-octane, and let's be honest, frequently chaotic world of hyper-growth SaaS companies.
It is an environment unlike any other, really. I mean, you see these explosive revenue curves, multi-million-dollar deals, closing what feels like daily, and there's this constant, urgent internal drive for more. The sales team is on fire, engineering is pushing new features every single sprint. But then you look at the company's social media strategy, their public face.
And it's just lagging, way behind.
Profoundly. It's either, just crickets, or maybe even worse, it's this frantic, haphazard mix of content that just doesn't scale. It can't keep up.
Exactly. They've achieved this phenomenal sales velocity, and it's often fueled by, personal networks, brute force outbound efforts. But their public social presence, the very machine that should be generating inbound, high-quality leads, it's usually a total afterthought.
They mistake activity for strategy.
Yes. And that leads to resources just being burned on, desperate imitation instead of actual tailored growth.
And that desperation, that tendency to just mimic everything you see, that is exactly what we are here to fix today. This deep dive is your shortcut. We're going to move past all that chaotic posting and hand you a proven, battle-tested framework.
A real system.
A real system designed to transform that frantic effort into a cohesive, measurable, lead-generating machine.
Okay, so before we unveil the solution, let's diagnose the problem. We see three crippling mistakes in, I would say, nearly every hypergrowth SaaS company that hasn't figured this out yet. The first one is obvious, but it's everywhere. Blindly copying competitors.
Oh, absolutely. The whole, if that rival posted a carousel, we must post a carousel, without ever asking why they posted it or if it even worked.
Right. And the second is that internal pressure. These founder-driven, sky-high expectations for viral hits overnight, demanding TikTok glory without any grounded strategy.
No understanding of the audience's intent on that platform. And that misalignment, it just crushes morale, and frankly, it crushes budgets.
And then the third, which I think you and I agree is the most critical blunder of all, is the content trap.
This is the big one.
These teams are creating truly brilliant stuff. Killer assets, deep industry teardowns, proprietary case studies, valuable playbooks. And what do?
They slap it behind a paywall or an immediate email gate. They're still operating under this, really outdated assumption that scarcity is what creates value.
It's such a profound tactical mistake in today's B2B world.
Yeah.
Why would you create friction right at the start?
Exactly. Your sophisticated audience, the VP or the C-suite exec you're trying to reach, they're vetting you. They need proof that you're competent, not another form to fill out just to get a little taste of that.
It's completely backward. And meanwhile, their savvy competitors are distributing similar gold for free, building immense trust.
And they're pulling in leads who are already, 80% convinced before a sales call even happens?
Precisely. So that's what we're introducing. The solution that reverses that whole mindset. The medium format content system, or MFC. And the philosophy behind it all is simple, but it's pretty radical for a lot of B2B marketing teams.
The philosophy is give away everything.
I love that. Give away everything.
Yeah.
It's an immediate challenge to the status quo. So let's start in section 1 by really defining the environment we're trying to fix. This core chaos and the two game-changing questions that force this massive strategic shift.
Yeah, if you look closely at these high-growth companies, the revenue figures, they kind of mask what is really just chaos disguised as growth. They're busy, for sure, but the activity, it lacks the intention. It lacks the structure you need for sustainable inbound scaling.
And like you said, the symptom everyone sees is just chasing templates. I've seen teams posting so mechanically. It's that check-the-box approach.
3 times a week on LinkedIn, 1 meme thread on X, and we're done.
Yes. They treat social media like a chore they have to get through.
And the result is you just blend into the noise instantly. Everyone is pulling from the same 3 marketing articles about best practices, and it just leads to this homogenization. If every SaaS company in your niche is posting the same 5-slide blue and white carousel on a Monday morning, you have zero differentiation. You're just part of the scroll fatigue.
And then there's that content trap again. The real intellectual property is just handcuffed. Teams will spend weeks interviewing subject matter experts, compiling incredible data, only to gate the final product.
It's not just a philosophical error, it's an economic one. I mean, you've already paid for the creation of that content. By limiting its distribution with a compulsory email capture, you're artificially shrinking your potential reach and your credibility. The buyer is starving for real value, and if you demand their currency, their data, their commitment, for every little insight, they're just going to go to the expert who gives them the information freely.
Okay, I have to push back on that a little bit, though. I mean, for a B2B company, isn't some level of gatekeeping necessary? How else do you build a robust email list? Or make sure the sales team has qualified leads to follow up on? If we give away everything, aren't we just creating super-informed prospects who then never actually have to convert?
That's the critical challenge, and it really does require a mindset flip. The goal isn't to capture as many email addresses as you can. That's a vanity metric. The goal is to capture the right email addresses when the prospect is ready for a deeper commitment. So if your competitor gates a checklist that, say, cost $50,000 to implement, and you give that same checklist away for free, the prospect now trusts you implicitly.
Okay, I see.
So when they need professional implementation for that checklist, they don't go back to the gatekeeper. They come to the expert who gave them the blueprint in the first place. We use gated content not for information, but for commitments.
Like what?
Like a request for a custom demo or a free personalized audit of their system. That's the conversion point. That's when you ask for the email.
Ah, okay. That reframes the entire funnel then. Content builds the trust and authority, and the demo request captures the qualified lead who is actually ready to transact. That makes a lot of sense.
And that leads us right to the third element of the chaos. Platform misalignment. The failure to distinguish between where your audience exists and where they have professional intent.
So teams spending huge resources trying to force their product onto platforms just because those platforms are trending.
Exactly. Like aggressively pushing complex B2B workflow hacks on TikTok because the CEO read an article about TikTok's user growth.
Right. They mistake the platform's high general user count for high professional intent engagement in their specific niche.
Yeah. I mean, if your $1 million enterprise buyer is on TikTok, they're probably watching cooking videos. They're not actively seeking a complex supply chain optimization tool. It's a resource drain driven by FOMO, not by data.
So how do we flip this entire chaotic script? Our sources point to this moment where the most successful companies stopped reacting and started leading. And it was by focusing on two critical, game-changing questions that just cut right through the noise.
Yes, and these questions are designed specifically to move the team away from mimicry and toward real innovation. The first question is all about the delivery, the vehicle. What format is nobody else using in this market that could absolutely crush it?
That's the ultimate distribution edge. It forces you to hunt for the white space. If everyone is using written case studies, maybe you should be using, interactive recorded client interviews. If everyone's using text, maybe you should use data visualization videos.
Exactly. It's about finding the medium's highest leverage point that your competitors have totally overlooked. And the second question, this one addresses the core philosophy of give away everything. What valuable information is everyone else gatekeeping that the audience is starving for?
That question directly attacks that scarcity mindset we were talking about. It compels the leadership team to look at their internal knowledge base, their secret sauce, and decide which piece of that is worth more as a trust-building magnet than as a transactional lead capture.
And that's the connection to real strategy. Asking these two questions forces you to think critically about resource allocation. It shifts the budget away from, say, hiring 5 people to write 5 low-value articles a week toward paying one expert to synthesize internal knowledge into one truly groundbreaking free asset that targets a known market gap.
It's moving from just measuring activity to measuring actual impact.
Yeah, it's the difference between being a follower who's always trying to catch up and being a leader who defines the next conversation in the market.
That moves us perfectly into Section 2, the breakdown of the medium format content, or MFC, framework itself. This is the 3-step strategy designed to eliminate all that guessing.
Step 1 of the MFC framework is foundational. Pick your medium. And the sources really emphasize that crucial distinction we just discussed, choosing the medium based on where the audience behaves professionally and engages with work-related content. It's the whole intent over existence principle.
Okay, let's define what medium format actually means here, because we're not talking about 15-second reels, but we're also not talking about 200-page books.
No, exactly. A medium format asset, it typically requires somewhere between, say, 5 and 30 minutes of engagement time. It's deep enough to deliver real, actionable value and establish your authority, but it's short enough that it can be consumed during a working break or on a commute.
So think detailed LinkedIn threads, 10, 15-minute explainer videos, maybe a comprehensive email newsletter.
Yeah, things with structure, high synthesis, and actionable depth.
That structure is key. Now, let's look at how buyer types map to that intent, starting with the big ones. Enterprise or high-ticket buyers, those massive $500K to multi-million-dollar deals.
These buyers are driven by risk avoidance and, fiduciary responsibility. They demand depth, authority, and professional validation. So their channels of intent are overwhelmingly LinkedIn, virtual events, thoughtful long-form video, and highly curated email flows. Their professional behavior dictates they are in vetting mode or buy mode.
So when they're scrolling LinkedIn, they aren't looking for quick hacks. They're looking to see if your CEO has spoken on an industry panel, or if your company's content aligns with their due diligence reports, and if the comments on your posts reflect real credibility.
That's it. They respond to content that positions your company as an authority worth trusting with a massive budget. Their engagement is professional, it's intentional, it's high stakes. Posting low-effort content here is actually worse than posting nothing because it actively degrades your perceived authority.
Okay, so moving down the funnel, what about the small business or affordable tool buyers, the ones with, say, under $10 annual contracts?
This audience is broader, and often the decision maker is also the user, which means they prioritize speed and immediate utility above all else. So this allows for a much broader channel mix. You can use TikTok for incredibly quick, actionable tips and product hacks, Twitter or X for snappy, timely threads and community banter, and LinkedIn for more polished posts that can hook virality.
So the content can be a bit lighter, focused on solving a very specific, immediate problem in under 2 minutes.
Exactly. So the actionable starting point isn't to just jump on platforms, it's to meticulously map your audience personas to their professional behavior data. You have to know. If you have a specific persona like the head of manufacturing procurement, you need to know what white papers they downloaded last quarter and which industry experts they actually follow on LinkedIn.
You must. That intentional mapping dictates where you spend your time. Okay, so once you've nailed the medium, the channel where the intentional professional behavior is happening, then step 2, pick your format, is designed to give you that necessary distribution edge.
Step 2 is all about the magic of differentiation. It goes right back to that first game-changing question. What format is nobody else using?
Right.
You have to look at your niche and quantify what the competition is actually doing. If 80% of your competitors are relying on, standard written case studies and generic LinkedIn carousels, you gain an instantaneous edge by zigging while they zag. You just bypass the crowded content highways.
So what are some concrete examples of zigging formats that scale well in B2B?
Well, if the crowd is producing those 5-slide LinkedIn carousels, which, frankly, are starting to suffer from diminishing returns, you could switch to deep industry teardown threads. Use the channel's native text and image features to unpack complex real data trends. Or if your audience needs video but they hate long webinars, you pivot to educational TikTok walkthroughs, short 60-90-second bursts showing product functionality in a really actionable, punchy way.
I remember the source mentioned a team that found huge success with LinkedIn mini events. Could you elaborate on that? How did that format give them an edge?
Yeah, that team's niche was just saturated with these long 2-hour virtual conferences and pre-recorded demos. So they found white space by hosting quick 30-minute live Q&A mini events with their own internal experts or friendly clients. And crucially, they ran them at very specific times, like 11:30 a.m. Eastern on a Tuesday.
Low production, high value?
Exactly. It was interactive. And because it was novel, their initial engagement was 5 times the industry average. They created this community feeling around high-level problem solving, something the generic, pre-recorded competition just couldn't touch.
But that requires rigorous testing, right? You can't just launch a mini event and assume it's going to work.
Absolutely not. And the hypergrowth mandate demands brutal efficiency in that testing. Start small, post 1 new format a month, and ruthlessly measure the metrics. And not just likes measure shares, comments, and most importantly, clicks and time on page for any associated landing pages. If it flops, you pivot within the week. If it hits, you've just created a moat that your competitors will take months to replicate effectively.
Okay, so we have the medium, where the intentional professional behavior is, and we have the format, how the content pops. Now, step 3, pick your content. This is the heart of the give away everything philosophy.
This is the philosophy shift. Stop hoarding. Start sharing. Build trust immediately and watch the leads pour in. And we're not just talking about giving away, low-value blog posts. We're talking about repurposing the best insights you have, the content that truly establishes your competency.
Okay, but again, let's challenge this. What about the fear that by giving away the blueprint, we're cannibalizing our own entry-level consulting or maybe our low-ticket product offerings?
That fear is valid, but it's often short-sighted. If your content is so effective that it allows a prospect to solve a low-level problem themselves, that prospect is often not your target buyer anyway. Your target buyer, the hypergrowth SaaS leader, they have scale problems.
Yeah, they don't have time.
They don't have time. Giving them the blueprint confirms you know the solution, but what they need is implementation at scale. They need speed, integration, guaranteed uptime. They hire you for the machinery, not the manual. Free, high-value content filters out the low-intent time wasters, and it attracts the high-intent, high-budget prospects who trust you because you didn't nickel and dime them for basic information.
That reframes content as a high-intent qualifier. So where do we find this amazing content? Hypergrowth teams don't have endless resources to generate new, killer insights every single week.
It doesn't have to be generated from scratch. Content creation should focus intensely on repurposing existing internal knowledge. Think about the internal stashes, the proprietary assets the team uses every day to win deals.
Okay, so give us the breakdown. How does a common internal asset like a sales deck become a high-value external magnet?
A sales deck is pure gold. It's packed with proprietary stats, validated customer stories, tailored solutions. You take that 50-slide deck, you extract the 15 most insightful slides, and you repurpose that raw information into a detailed, structured white paper or ebook. And crucially, you host that white paper on your site as a free lid magnet. No gatekeeping required for the PDF download.
So the delivery itself is an act of generosity. How do we then use that to drive the social strategy?
You slice it up. The white paper is the core asset. You slice it into 12 different social assets. Quotes for Twitter, 3 key takeaways for a LinkedIn carousel, a short video summary, and so on. Every single piece of content then links back to the full, free, high-value download. The content is the same killer quality, but the delivery maximizes reach and reinforces that trust.
And we also saw examples of what onboarding docs buried in internal Notion pages being used.
That's such low-hanging fruit. An onboarding document is essentially a step-by-step guide on how to get value from your product. Pull the top 5 hacks or 10x ROI from that Notion doc and turn it into a viral thread or an educational video series. It's raw, unfiltered, and highly useful knowledge that prospects are craving.
And this all feeds the compounding loop you mentioned.
Yeah.
Strategically, how does the flow work to make this so efficient?
It's simple. Content fuels traffic. Traffic fuels product engagement and high-intent signups. One high-value piece of original content becomes 6 to 12 social assets, and each asset acts as a different entry point into your funnel. You are constantly reinforcing authority, generating awareness, and capturing leads who have already self-qualified by consuming your free, high-quality material.
That makes perfect sense. But before anyone starts designing their mini events or recycling decks, Section 3 stresses this non-negotiable step: conducting a foundation audit and analyzing the competition.
Yes, skipping the audit phase in hypergrowth is a guarantee for wasted effort. You have to find your existing baseline. Scaling without it is, frankly, just expensive guesswork. The audit is detective work. It's aimed at finding your accidental hits and all the internal buried treasure.
Let's focus on hunting those accidental hits. We're not looking for planned campaign successes here. We're looking for flukes. What defines an accidental hit in B2B SaaS?
An accidental hit is a post, a comment, or just an offhand piece of content that wasn't part of the core strategy, but it generated disproportionate engagement, or, critically, drove high-quality time on page or unexpected signups. Maybe it was a simple poll on LinkedIn that sparked 200 high-level comments, or a casual sales tip buried in a comment section that drove 5 demo requests.
And what are the markers we should be tracking for these flukes?
You track the metrics, the themes, and the timing. For video, look for high replay rates and specific drop-off points. For written content, look for things that were shared heavily in dark social, like Slack and email, even if the initial likes were low. These flukes are invaluable because they provide proven, low-risk validation of a market appetite that your planned content completely missed.
And once we find the flukes, we hunt the buried treasure internally. What specific organizational steps does a company need to take to extract that unfiltered knowledge?
The key is involving cross-functional teams in a structured way. I recommend establishing a monthly GEM session. It's a mandatory 30-minute meeting with your top 5 closers from the sales team and 2 key members from customer success. The social team's job is just to ask 2 questions. What are the top 3 prospect objections you overcame this week? And what is the single most common question customers ask in the support chat?
Because those raw, unfiltered answers, the specific language of the prospect's pain, that's pure viral content gold.
Exactly. An internal memo on a regulatory change becomes a LinkedIn series. A complex 5-step sales objection overcome by a closer becomes a highly shareable Twitter thread. This is repurposing raw data from Slack channels, Notion docs, sales enablement assets, the stuff the team uses daily but never considers public.
And the power of this entire audit phase is that you aren't guessing what content works. You're building your entire strategy on proven gaps in the market where your audience has already shown you they light up.
And we have to include the pitfall here. You have to ruthlessly review the flops. You need to analyze the posts that bombed, the ones that were too promotional, or had the wrong timing, or just used the wrong tone. Learning from those failures is how you sharpen your content edge and make sure every hour you spend recycling is effective.
Okay, so once we know it's working internally, we turn our gaze outward, section 3.2. But the source stressed keeping competitor awareness light and avoiding that black hole of time-consuming analysis.
This is a light scan. You cap it at a few hours per competitor. The critical mistake is always copying the output, the carousel, the video, the headline, without grasping the underlying insight. The specific pain point, the timing, the subtle emotional hook.
Surface-level mimicry ensures you are always one step behind, and it just kills the authenticity you need for hypergrowth.
Exactly. So, if we're not copying, what are the 3 key items we should be tracking during this light scan?
First, we look for behavior patterns. Are they just broadcasting exclusively, or are they actively community building? Responding, debating, hosting user-generated content. We also track their consistency in timing and audience activity windows.
Second, you look for new audience angles. Are they experimenting with targeting sub-niches that you've ignored? Maybe they're using casual polls to target a lower-level decision maker who can then influence the enterprise sale later on.
And third,
we search for their accidental hits. Posts that just exploded for reasons the competitor might not even realize or know how to style correctly. If they have a viral thread that they never repurpose or follow up on, that's a massive gap you can jump into, create a unique twist, and completely own.
So the goal isn't obsession, it's to fuel boldness.
Yeah.
You use this awareness to innovate beyond the existing competitive ceiling, not just to reach it.
Exactly. And once you have this foundational knowledge, you move into the core tactical phase. Section 4, scaling the engine. This is where the volume ramps up, not by burning out your team, but through ruthless, systems-driven efficiency. Content recycling that actually works.
This is where we squeeze every single drop of value from our core assets. So what's the golden rule for this distribution engine?
The golden rule has to be enforced organizationally. Every single piece of high-value internal content, that sales deck, that Notion hack, should spawn 6 to 12 social assets, minimum. This rule is the mechanism that ensures you create a pipeline that can run for months without having to generate new ideas every week.
6 to 12 assets minimum. That sounds like a massive logistical headache, especially in a hypergrowth environment. Let's walk through that real-world example from the source, taking a sales slideshow and detailing the multi-step recycling process to achieve that volume.
Okay, let's start with our core asset, the 50-slide sales slideshow. It has 5 customer success stories, 3 proprietary stats, and 2 workflow diagrams.
All right, that's the raw material.
Asset 1, Depth 3 magnet. We extract the 3 core proprietary stats and the 2 workflow diagrams. We synthesize this into a polished, high-design, 5-page white paper. This is hosted for free download on the website, no gate, time required, maybe 8-10 hours of design and synthesis.
Okay, so Asset 1 feeds the entire funnel. Now for the traffic hooks.
Asset 2, Traffic Hook LinkedIn. We create a 5-slide LinkedIn carousel teasing the 3 key stats from that white paper using the original deck's design language for brand continuity. The call to action links directly to the free white paper download. Time required, about 2 hours for design and copywriting.
Okay, Asset 3, Dialogue Twitter. We spin the specific workflow diagram into a detailed 9-tweet Twitter thread. We unpack 1 step per tweet, ask for community feedback, and end with a CTA to sign up for a demo. Time required. 3 hours for drafting and scheduling.
Asset 4, SO long-term traffic. We expand the white paper's core concepts into a, say, 2,500-word in-depth blog article optimized for target long-tail keywords. This becomes your passive long-term awareness asset. Time required. Maybe 15 hours for expansion and SEO.
Asset 5, Gated Value Nurture. Now we take the successful Twitter thread, Asset 3, and evolve it into a pro checklist PDF, complete with an implementation calendar. This is the first piece of gated content. It requires an email signup. Moving those awareness leads into the nurtured funnel. Time required, 4 hours for formatting and flow setup.
And Asset 6, proof visual. We take one of the customer stories from the original sales deck, pull a high-impact quote, overlay it on a branded visual, and post it as a quick 15-second video clip across Instagram and LinkedIn. Time required, 1 hour for the graphic or video clip.
So that's 6 high-value, distinct assets from one single sales deck. And you can get another 6 just by changing the format, like turning Asset 4 into a newsletter or Asset 2 into a short LinkedIn video.
Exactly. The secret is the reverse-engineered logic. Every recycled asset is a calculated step in the strategic funnel. Awareness on social leads to traffic on the site, which leads to nurturing flows with email, which leads to product engagement, and finally, revenue. The engine ensures high frequency without the intellectual burden of constant new creation.
To manage this staggering volume, the 6 to 12 assets from every core piece organizational tools are absolutely essential in a hypergrowth setting. How do we structure the so-called command center?
Notion is the central nervous system. It has to be used not just for storage, but as a tagged, centralized, searchable content hub. Every asset gets a content ID, a tag for its original source, like Sales Deck 2024, and a stage tag, like raw, drafting, or scheduled. The structure prevents ideas from getting lost and ensures multiple assets aren't recycled in quick succession using the same angle.
And for nurturing the leads that this high social activity generates, especially the ones captured by the low-friction gated assets.
You need a robust email component. Tools like MailerLite or MailChimp can handle the segmentation and automated flows. When a prospect downloads Asset 5, that pro checklist, they're instantly put into a 3-email flow that delivers more value, suggests other free content, and eventually offers a tailored demo request. It's the bridge from social awareness to transaction.
The pitfall here is crucial, though. Avoiding over-recycling the same exact angle. How do you maintain trust when you're reusing the same content 12 times?
You have to vary the twists and you have to update the data constantly. You don't post the 3 stats that changed everything 12 times. You post how we use stat 1 to save a client $20K, then the hidden risk behind stat 2, and what industry leaders are saying about stat 3. The underlying data is the same, but the angle and the value delivered are fresh. That's how you maintain audience trust.
Okay, moving into section 5. Let's pull all this knowledge together. The MFC framework, the recycling engine, the buyer intent. This is about platform matching, based specifically on pricing and buyer type.
Yeah, we have to make sure our meticulously crafted posts actually land where the high-value intent is highest. Let's start with high-ticket SaaS, those massive $500K to $2 million annual contracts.
So these buyers, C-suite, VPs, they're focused on long-term partnerships and avoiding catastrophic failures. Where is the channel focus for them?
Heavy reliance on LinkedIn. The strategy has to focus on positioning the company as the unequivocal thought leader. Formats include live panels, highly professional webinars, and in-depth content shared via targeted posts and direct email flows. The key is they crave substance and authority.
And the source mentioned the level of personalization required for these big deals. What specific data points are used for that hyper-personalization in an ABM context here?
It goes way beyond their name and company. You're tracking firmographic data like recent funding rounds, their competitor mentions, recent job changes in their leadership team, and their previous content engagement topics on LinkedIn. If a VP just posted about supply chain complexity, your personalized invitation to a LinkedIn Live event should directly address that specific pain point, using language they just use themselves. 7-figure deals are frequently initiated by a single, well-attended, highly personalized LinkedIn event.
So precision, not volume, is what drives that tier. Next up, mid-ticket SaaS $10K to $500Ks annually. These are directors or managers balancing speed and value.
Their strategy requires a conscious blend. You use LinkedIn for the professional depth and validation, and you combine that with Twitter X for timely banter, quick discovery, and interaction. So LinkedIn gets the educational content, the polls focused on specific pain points, and the feature carousels.
And Twitter X, this is where the tone shift happens, right?
Yes. Twitter X gets the quick, slightly more opinionated threads on industry trends. And critically, it requires dialogue, not monologue. This audience mixes work and discovery, so they need content that sparks a conversation during their breaks. They really appreciate being engaged directly.
And that's why cross-promotion is so powerful here.
Absolutely. Reposting a highly engaging Twitter discussion as a LinkedIn article allows you to turn that casual, quick discovery into professional validation, which often triggers an official demo request. It leverages the strength of both channels super efficiently.
And finally, low-ticket SaaS, under $10K annually. SMB owners, freelancers, small teams. The approach here is about maximizing virality for quick wins.
You go broad and you go bold. TikTok for viral hooks, Twitter for trends, LinkedIn for credibility, and Instagram if your visuals are key. The formats are short videos demoing hacks, trend-jacking responsibly, and just aiming for quick signups.
But let's really hammer home that crucial nuance about intent, especially with a platform like TikTok. Just because the buyer is there doesn't mean they are in the mood to buy.
This is the most common mistake, and it leads to so much wasted resource. Teams spend thousands on high-production TikTok videos, only to find the audience is just there for entertainment. You have to ruthlessly test the split between fun, trend-jacking videos and more formal, educational videos. Often, the winning formula for this low-ticket crowd is blending humor with genuine value, a quick, funny hook that immediately transitions into a 30-second product tip. If your test data shows 0 click-throughs from your dance videos, you cut them immediately. Virality without conversion is just noise.
And across all 3 tiers, regardless of the platform, the email platform MailerLite, MailChimp, is the glue for retention and nurturing.
It is the necessary bridge. It automates the flows from those social clicks, ensuring that the traffic you worked so hard to generate is not wasted. Email is how you move someone from awareness to deep product engagement and eventually to commitment.
Let's shift into section 6 and look at some concrete implementation tools and the scaled patterns that have really proven successful. We're going to examine 2 patterns that generated hypergrowth.
Okay, the first pattern is scaling through LinkedIn video events, typically seen in mid to enterprise SaaS. The initial tactic was simple, quick, 30-minute live sessions unpacking specific workflow pains with internal experts or client guests.
Why did 30 minutes work where 2-hour webinars failed?
It respected the time of the target buyer, the director, or the VP. It filled this niche gap of consistent, short-form, high-value live interaction. And once they had an accidental hit, a session that pulled in over 100 high-quality attendees, the flywheel effect kicked in. They never let the content die on the vine.
So how did they repurpose it effectively to fuel that flywheel?
Immediately, the full recording became an on-demand site resource, gated only by a simple registration form. They clipped 60-second highlights into short reels for Instagram and LinkedIn. They posted text recaps of the key takeaways to Twitter. And crucially, they ran the highest performing clips as targeted ads on LinkedIn and Facebook.
So organic buzz, the successful mini-event feeds, paid amplification, driving signups via a self-sustaining cycle.
Precisely. They used the organic success as validation for the paid spend. They knew which 60-second clip resonated most, and they put budget only behind that one piece of content which just maximized their ROI.
The second pattern focuses on dominating with Twitter threads, commonly seen in developer-focused or highly technical SaaS niches.
Yeah, the initial tactic here was long, insightful threads, breaking down timely industry developments, regulatory changes, deep integration hacks, analysis of competitor strategies, content that others might paywall, they gave away freely.
And when a thread took off, how was that ruthlessly maximized?
They expanded the successful threads into 3,000-word blog posts on their website, adding bespoke data visualizations and full SEO optimization. Then they adapted the key slides from the thread into a 10-slide LinkedIn carousel. They even cross-posted teasers to relevant niche Reddit subs, always adhering to the community's rules, which drove huge authority and funneled traffic back to the long-form blog.
That requires serious organization, especially for long-form written content. The pro tip we saw for thread creation was the simple use of a central hub, like Google Spreadsheets or Excel.
That's the secret to consistent high volume. They used a spreadsheet to store thread ideas, drafts, bullet points, and the accompanying media links. Every half-written idea is tagged and stored for later expansion. It prevents the team from suffering blank page syndrome every morning.
The common pitfall across both patterns, though, is getting stuck on the initial win.
Absolutely. Stagnation is the enemy of hypergrowth. Teams have to iterate constantly. If the mini-event format is working, you try adding a real-time poll or a dedicated Slack channel for Q&A next time. If the thread format is succeeding, integrate more unique visuals or guest contributions. You have to evolve the winning format before the competition catches up.
Finally, let's talk about the command center. To manage the MFC framework, the audit insights, and the relentless 6 to 12 asset recycling machine, you need structured tooling. The source highlighted Whoop Social as the glue that keeps the entire engine running.
Structure is non-negotiable when you're operating at hypergrowth speed. The tools have to minimize burnout and maximize efficiency. Whoop Social's primary role is scheduling, mapping content calendars weeks ahead, slotting all those repurposed assets based on peak platform engagement times, and setting up evergreen queues for foundational tips.
And how does it handle the complexity of posting 12 variations of the same content across different platforms without creating duplicates or mistakes?
It acts as the intelligent traffic cop. It identifies high performers and facilitates smart repurposing right within the tool. You take a high-performing LinkedIn post, click a button, and it allows you to instantly draft the Twitter thread version, adjusting for character limits and media type, and ensuring it schedules optimally across different days and times. It ensures the strategy runs like clockwork, which allows the human talent to focus on high-value creation, not low-value scheduling.
The result is a proactive, measurable, high-volume social media strategy for SaaS that maximizes growth while mitigating the chaos.
It takes you from frantic posting and hoping to running a proactive powerhouse that feeds high-quality inbound leads directly into the sales pipeline.
That brings us to our final wrap-up. Let's summarize the path to transformation, the core formula derived from all our sources.
The transformation path is clear and it's sequential. Medium format of content distribution compounding. You pick the right channels based on deep buyer intent. You hunt for unique formats to gain an immediate distribution edge. You dish out pure, unadulterated value. And then you recycle that content ruthlessly to fuel your strategic funnel.
And the core philosophy that has to be embraced by leadership. Let's double down on that belief one last time.
It is the conviction that you must give away more value than your competitors hide behind paywalls. Positioning your brand as the generous, genuine expert transforms your company's trajectory. While your competition is focused on extracting data up front, you are focused on building irreversible trust. Prospects convert and return because you built authority first.
And the call to action here is immediate, not tomorrow.
Don't wait for perfection. Hypergrowth rewards action, not hesitation. Grab one internal asset, that sales deck, that Notion page, the Slack channel full of prospect questions, apply the MFC lens, and launch 3 new formatted assets next week. Track what sticks.
Fantastic. And that leads us to our provocative closing thought for you, the listener, to mull over and apply immediately.
The companies that win are the ones who are not afraid to lead the conversation in their niche. So consider this, especially in light of the give away everything philosophy. What essential industry insight, a proprietary stat, a deep dive workflow, or a key piece of research are you currently hoarding internally that could instantly position your company as the unquestioned go-to expert in your field if you just shared it tomorrow? That move, that act of radical generosity is where your hypergrowth social strategy truly begins.
This episode is brought to you by Whoop Social, the all-in-one social media tool that saves you time and skyrockets your growth. Stop wasting hours posting manually. With Whoop Social, you can schedule, publish, and track performance across every platform, all from one simple dashboard. Whether you're a creator, brand, or agency, Whoop Social helps you stay consistent, reach more people, and grow faster automatically. Don't wait. Join thousands of smart marketers and start free today at whoopsocial.com.